Hello.
Hello.
It's B2TV Tuesday. Welcome back, everybody. And as you can see in our third seat, which someday, if I ever learn how to point right on this thing, I think everybody gets a drink. But over there in the middle, I did it. Everybody say hello to Katie Robbert.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So glad to have you. I just want to say I met Katie not that long ago, actually through Christopher Penn, who we had on the show last time. And you're a total rock star. I have a real girl crush on Katie. So I thought it would be fun, since you're such a rock star, to come up with our rock star names to start the show, to like shake this baby off. So like, let's go with the color of your pants and the last thing you ate. Katie, starting with your rock star self. What would your name be?
It would be so boring. It's just black coffee.
Yeah. I kind of like it though. It's kind of like Black Crow, like black coffee.
Well, Joan Jett is my spirit animal, so I feel like it kind of aligns with that.
Agreed. Carrie?
I mean, because
go ahead, keep going.
I was going to say otherwise it would be black turkey sandwich, which isn't really that rock star.
What are you, Carrie?
I have the most badassest girl rock star name ever. It is Blue Girl Scout Cookie.
Blue Girl. I kind of actually like. Sounds very, very modern. Like very. Like,
I mean, if you want to be technical, it's Blue Thin Mint, but I kind of like Blue Girl Scout Cookie.
I like Blue Girl Scout Cookie too. I do. It's a nostalgic and modern.
That's great. I'm very retro.
I would be charcoal shake. Yeah,
that's an actual thing, isn't it? Now the charcoal ice cream, the black.
Oh yeah, people are.
That's like an actual thing.
Bizarre. The first time I've heard of people eating charcoal was in my college and high school days, when people got their stomach pumped and they had to like eat the charcoal stuff, whatever. Anyways.
Yeah, back in my day.
Welcome back to Charcoal Talk, everyone.
And now we'll reveal our deepest, darkest secrets from high school.
Oh no!
Please no. Please no.
No, but seriously, we're having Katie on the show today because she is one of our amazing speakers for the Hello Conference, which is coming up on March 28th. And Katie is, again, part of the reason why I have my girl crush on her. She's like one of those, like, can I say it, data nerds? You're a data nerd.
I am.
And that's sexy. I don't think it's nerdy.
No, I wave that flag very proudly because, do you say data or data? Because that's
data.
So I also say data, but I believe it's technically data. This was when I worked in healthcare. I would always bicker with my epidemiologist team about data or data. And I was like, I'm from Boston. I have the accent. It's going to be data. Sorry. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Midwest here, it's data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I say data, but then I'm trying to think if I changed that, because when I was in Texas, it feels like I would have said data. Anyways.
I know the gift we're using to go with this video.
Like those wavy, like
new little Wayne's World.
Yeah. Okay, so data. We should try to program ourselves.
All right.
Say data. Is that the right way? Data.
It is technically, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll get people correcting me, but my understanding is that it's data.
So far, there's no points in the comments. We're doing okay.
You're a data nerd.
Oh, and there it is. We got one more for data. I think we're making it work.
All right. I feel like we're wasting too much time on our poor pronunciation.
I'm not enough data. So Katie, you are going to be speaking on predictive analytics. And I think before we delve into the topic itself, how do we break down predictive analytics in a way that I could understand? The layman's marketer. How do I define predictive analytics?
Well, there's two different types of predictive analytics that we use in marketing. One is driver analysis. And so driver analysis at a high level is taking a lot of data, basically variables. So if you're looking at social media, for example, you have a lot of variables around likes, retweets, comments, length of post, time of post, day of post, week of post. So there's a lot of different variables that you can look at. And so with all of that data, what you want to do as a marketer is figure out what combination of things is driving higher engagement. So the driver analysis can actually predict down of all the variables. Here are the top 3 that are a priority to your specific audience. Here's what they care about. So it might be the length of the post, when the post contains an image and not a video, and then when it's posted at 2:52 on Tuesday afternoons. And those might not be things that you're thinking of, but the driver analysis can winnow down the best predicted combination of things that will get you the goal that you're looking for. And then the other type of predictive analysis that we use in marketing is time series. And that's the one that people are probably more familiar with. So time series analysis takes any data set that's time stamped consistently with a date. We often use Google Trends data because it's very clean, very consistent. And what it does is it uses statistics to say, of all of this historical data, if I project it forward, here's likely what's to happen with these trends based on what has happened historically. And that's a lot of what I'll be talking about at the Hello conference in a few weeks. It is just coming up, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's like okay, so I want to go back to driver analytics for a second, because what you said is so interesting, because we're constantly being, as marketers, barraged, right? We're being thrown best practices all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your content link should only be 80 characters or less on Facebook. You have to post on Wednesdays at 3 p.m., perform the best. And I wrote a post personally. I hate best practices because it's like putting a blanket statement onto your own business or industry or product or service. So does the driver analysis that you guys have done, does it show that everybody has their own unique best practices? I'm just trying to fluff my own feathers here. But, isn't it true though that it's not all people, those 80 characters or less posts do the best? Some people long content performs better, right?
That's absolutely correct, because not every marketer, not every company has the exact same audience. If everything was created equal, then yes, you could say this is the best practice for doing it. Really, those best practices should be guidelines, and then you need to look at your specific goals. Your goals might be different from what the guy down the street has for a goal. You might be posting the exact same thing, but what you care about is different from what he cares about. So you can't say that you have to do it the exact same way, because getting the behavior that you want out of your audience isn't going to take the same type of techniques. And that's where driver analysis can really start to determine, based on your goals for B Squared or my goals for Trust Insights, what we need to do to get the most out of our audience.
So give me an example, a simple example of how you or I on a Facebook page, right? Let's assume a lot of people have a Facebook page. How would you perform that driver analysis with some simple data sets? What would that look like?
So what we would do is we would extract all of the different variables that we could from a Facebook page. And that might be, what type of thing is in the cover photo, how many reviews they have, how much interaction they typically get on a post, So you really start to pick apart all of the different variables that you can pull out of any one page. And then what you would do is it sort of becomes like a very large spreadsheet, an unwieldy thing with hundreds of variables. And then through the magic of statistics and math, you run the proprietary algorithm that we have created. And it would then start to tell you, based on what your goal is, what you care about, what specific things you need to do more of. So maybe you need to do more of posting on a Tuesday, or you need to do more long tail content, or you need to have shorter titles that include a hashtag or something along those lines. So those would be the types of things that you would be able to determine through a driver analysis. Another really good concrete example is if you're looking at your CRM data and you want to know what things influence recency and frequency and higher value, then you can start to cluster your customers into those buckets of, these are the customers that purchase often and who are repeat customers. And then you sort of have the customers who make a one-time purchase or make multiple purchases, but they're smaller dollar amounts. And then you start to pick apart the variables that comprise those customer profiles. And then you can start to figure out, okay, here's the profile of the type of customer that I need more of to get the higher value, more frequent customers.
Who doesn't love that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
As a business owner, I'm like, yes, more of that.
And I was just going to add, you just took that beyond, Katie, but I was going to ask, now it sounds like a silly question, like, could that kind of analysis say, like, boil down to say, oh, X type of content brings in more followers, X type of content brings in more engagement, X type of content drives more link clicks, like to the kind of the social KPIs, like does that bring you that kind of answers as well?
It does. So you would run a couple of different analyses based on each individual goal so that you could figure out, okay, my goal is more link clicks, or my goal is longer read time, or whatever the goal is. And then you would start to determine what combination of things drives that behavior that you're after.
Yeah, I love it. So we do, for our content and our clients, we do a human report called the Seesaw report. So what I'm thinking is, I'm going to give you a scenario, Katie, and you tell me if I'm on the right track here. So we do a Seesaw report where every week we look at the top performing 3 posts on every platform a client has and the bottom 3 performing posts. So it's like trends and patterns, essentially. We look for what isn't going well inside of the content and what's going well, right? But deciphered from a human, and then we come up with, hey, moving forward, we should try for this type of content or do less of this type of content. My guess is you could use, some of the algorithms or some sort of software that you guys have to let the machines kind of take that over, take the human work out of it for trend and pattern discovery as it pertains to content or type of content.
Yep, exactly. Because it is what you're describing. It almost gave me a little bit of hives. I'm like, ooh, that's so manual. That probably takes you so long to do.
It gives me hives because I do those reports every
and I don't mean that as a criticism, because that's exactly the problem that we're trying to help solve, is to automate a lot of those redundant tasks. So if you do the same thing week over week, even if it's pulling different links, that's something that we feel is really ripe for that automation, and really allowing the artificial intelligence and machine learning to do the analysis so that you can then focus on the deeper insights and coming up with better actions. And that's really at the crux of it. That's the goal of, the kind of company we're trying to build.
Yeah, I love it. That makes so much sense, because the machine is really supporting the human at that point, because the machine is doing kind of that heavy lifting, that really mundane type of tasking, where Carrie can then take what the machine spits out and say, oh, wow, based on this information, let me put together, 5 different ideas for how the client can move forward with the good performing content. And that's where the human comes in and gets involved with the machine's help, right? We're not taking the human out. We're just having the machine kind of help the human be better.
Right. That's exactly it. And I believe that's exactly what you're trying to promote at the Hello conference. And that's what the basis of my talk and Chris's talk is about, is how artificial intelligence and machine learning really supplements the person, the human, because there are limitations to what you can do with machine learning and artificial intelligence. And primarily it's that deep, critical, creative thinking. That's what the machines can't do at this time.
Yeah.
Can I invent a very cheesy catchphrase?
Please do.
So, the robots make the humans superhuman. TM, TM, TM.
You heard it here first, which is the first way to trademark something. It was in use.
On video.
Live. 1:29 p.m.
You know what? I'm going to let you have that one.
Yes. There will be a whole merch booth at the conference.
Oh my God. So digging a little bit deeper then, Katie, why I think I'm there, but for those people who still may not be there, they may not have arrived to this point yet. Why is AI so important to social media or digital marketers, advertisers, all of us who work in the digital space? Why is AI so important to what we do, or predictive analytics, or machines, whatever we want to call it? How is it changing what we do?
The amount of data that's available at any given moment is so overwhelming. I don't have the same statistics that Chris probably quoted to you a couple of weeks ago, but there's too much information available for any one human to just be able to process and make sense of. So you need that machine assistance in order to make sense of it, to clean it up, to make it something that you can do, take an action with, and get deeper insights from. And so it's really the sheer volume of information. The other thing is that the machine, if programmed correctly, takes that error out of the analysis. And so it's going to do the analysis the same way every single time based on what you want it to do. Because as humans, we get fatigued, we get tired, we might transpose a number. Machines don't do that. And so you're not going to worry about your machine calling in sick when a big critical client report is due, which has happened to all of us. Sure. So if you need the machine to work 24/7, 365, it's going to be able to do that. And it's going to be able to give you the analysis that you're after. Why predictive analytics is so important from my standpoint is that the challenge with reporting and analysis is that it's all looking historically behind you. You can't change that. You can't change what happened. You can only say, all right, how do I learn and grow from it? Or how could I do something different? And what we've seen in our experience is 99% of the time, people aren't even doing that. Companies aren't even looking at what happened historically. They're just making decisions and reacting and moving forward. The goal of using something like a predictive analysis, specifically time series, is to be able to plan out a content calendar, to be able to know what's going to happen and be more prepared so that you're not so reactive, you're actually proactive in that sense. So for social media marketers, for example, you're producing content, you're looking for when hashtags are going to be trending, you're looking for, what topics people are going to care about. Using a time series predictive calendar is going to allow you to do all of those things. We created what we call the cheese of the week. And Brooke, you've probably seen this a bunch of times over. But basically what we did was we took about 100 different kinds of cheese, and we took the Google Trends data set from 5 years historically, and we projected forward when people would be looking for specific cheeses. And now what the predictive analysis does is it confirmed a lot of assumptions that we had. Like there's a specific type of cheese that works really well on the grill, and that one was popular during the summer versus the winter months when people are looking for a more comforting cheese like a cheddar that could go into a soup or stew or chili or something like that. So it wasn't showing us things we didn't already know. It was just getting down to a more granular level of, during this week, this is when people are going to be looking for cheddar cheese. So you better have your content ready for the different kinds, how to store it, how to prepare it, their different recipes. And so it gives you as a marketer the opportunity to plan ahead versus, oh crap, cheddar was popular last week and I didn't have anything, so I missed the boat on that.
Right. And so, I think that's huge, because what you're telling me is if I am a cheese company, or in B squared situation, if I have a cheese client, right, this type of time series testing through predictive analytics would show us basically when to produce certain types of content, which right now happens, sometimes based on historical data. But you're right. The aha moment for me that you said is we're always looking back. We're never looking forward when it comes to the analysis. And this kind of allows you to look forward and say, okay, we know that, cheddar cheese is popular right now because of soups, chilies, stews, whatever. Let's start getting those recipes out there. Let's talk about like some comparative cheeses to cheddar that also work really well with chili. Let's, get in front of that time space so that the content hits at the same time. And you're creating this it's like hitting search, it's hitting content, it's hitting so many things. It could hit advertising. I see where you can plug so many holes with this one type of data set.
You just outlined my whole talk for the Hello Conference. Because I do. Because you can use that one analysis to do your SEO work to optimize content that you already have. You can use the same analysis to plan out your content calendar. And then you can use the same analysis to determine when you should be tuning up or tuning down ad spend on specific types of ads. So let's say you have ads focused specifically on cheddar. Well, the week that cheddar's popular is when you'd want to put more money behind that and less money behind, I don't know, mozzarella or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting. I love it. I mean, I think this is fascinating. I think it's needed. I'm just so excited that, we're coming together to do this thing, because I think we do need it. I don't think we should lose the human. Chris and I may argue a little bit there, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important for marketers to understand exactly what we're talking about. Like, look, whether to remove the human or keep the human in, like, here's the tactical and practical advice behind how to do that. So give us just a sneak peek, without giving away the whole thing. Give us a sneak peek of some of the, like, I call them bacon moments or aha moments that are going to be kind of happening with your talk at the Hello conference. Like, are there like 3 major things that you could give away that I think the looking back and looking forward is already one, but like, are there any other kind of bacon moments that you would give away without giving away the whole thing?
I mean, I don't think it's giving away the whole thing, but, I will certainly be talking about how to prepare your own data for predictive. So, talking about the data analytics hierarchy it's your house. You have to get your house in order. You have to protect your house, and your data set is your house. And so you have to have the foundation. You have to build on it. You can't just jump to the roof and expect it to hold you. You have to have something underneath it. And so there's going to be, some discussion about that. If you don't have clean data that you feel comfortable doing the analysis on, I'll be sharing some different examples of where you can get data to supplement your data, to use to start to create those plans to then, over time, get your data set back in good order. And then I will have sort of a leave behind for everybody who attends the conference it's actually a predictive analysis that they will all be able to take with them that will help them as marketers. And so you can only get that if you attend the Hello conference.
Well, so I have another question that just popped up in what you were just saying. So how do you know if your house, if your data is good or bad? Is there an immediate way to tell? Again, like, from a layman's perspective, like, how do I know if my data is good or bad?
The best way to tell is, so if you have goals and KPIs, how confident do you feel that the data that you're looking at is representative of you reaching those goals, or how complete or incomplete? So we always start with the foundation, which is Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, whatever website traffic analysis tool you're using, and then you sort of build up from there. So if your goal is engagement on social media, then you start to work backwards of what are the different metrics that influence engagement. And if you're missing any of that data, then that's where you start. Or if you're not confident that the data that you're collecting through Google Analytics, for example, is 100% accurate and representative, then that's where you start. You have to get those systems configured correctly. One of the most common issues that we see is people just sort of take the system out of the box and assume that it's running properly. There's no customization to what your specific goals are. And that's the number one problem that we see, is that you can't just plug in a piece of software and have it do exactly what you need it to do. You have to tailor it. You have to customize it. And that's what when we say getting your house in order, that's what we mean, is making sure that your marketing tech stack is set up appropriately to you specifically.
So let's just take Google Analytics, for example. You connect to your website and it's collecting information, but you're talking about taking it a step further and setting up like custom dashboards particular to your KPIs or goals. Or are we talking about Google Data Studio? Is that what it's called? Google Data Studio? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say you can use Data Studio because it automates a lot of your reporting. But really, if you take a step back, when you plug in Google Analytics and hook it up to your website, there's no goals configured. And that's the number one thing that people miss, is configuring those goals, making sure that the settings are all set up properly. It includes Google Tag Manager, Google Search Console, anything within that Google ecosystem for proper tracking. So let's say you want to track people who click on a PDF and download it from your website. Well, Google Analytics won't know that unless you have Google Tag Manager configured correctly to those specific events and the tags are firing correctly. And if you want to know how many people downloaded the PDF, you have to set that up as a goal in Google Analytics. So that configuring is so important in order to have that data that you can then run a forecast on.
I love it. Carrie, any questions from you so far? I know you're Carrie is our in-house data nerd, I would say. Like, she loves reading custom reports.
Yeah, my brain starts just going, I want to play, and I just want to just start. That's my problem. I'm just like, oh, and I can do this, and I can do this. I'm like, Brooke, will you buy me this?
So the good news is that Data Studio is free. It's free for anyone to use, and it's very easy to. I feel like it's very easy to use. It's drag and drop. So if you know what you're looking at in Google Analytics, then you will absolutely know what you're looking at in Data Studio. And Google did, and they're not paying me to say any of this. I'm just a big fan of things that are easy and the reporting tools. Google Data Studio has so many new connections to different software systems that they're adding all of the time that it goes beyond just Google Analytics data. You can look at YouTube data. You can look at AdWords data. You can look at Facebook data, Twitter data, a bunch of different types of data. You will have to do some configuration on your side, but you can bring all of that into one place and see your dashboard in real time and say, here's the health of my campaign. Here's the health of my company right now.
Awesome. And just selfishly, Katie, what are you up to? Like, tell me what you're up to, here. I mean, I've seen you all over the place. I know you've been speaking at some really big conferences. So just, out of curiosity and selfishly, tell us a little bit about what you're up to with Trust Insights and on a personal level.
On a personal level, I am trying to figure out sort of what's next for us. So, making sure that people know that, we do the predictive analysis, we do the text mining, we do machine learning, but how do we get it out there in a way that people are like, you know what, I need that, and I can figure out how to implement that today. And I think that that's the biggest challenge that we face as data scientists, is how do we make it consumable by marketers? And that's not to say that marketers don't understand it. It's just, to me, it's not as tangible as it could be.
It
still
feels like we're talking in theory about a lot of this stuff. I'm with you on that. It still feels like we're removed, right, from the whole AI, machine learning, predictive analytics conversation. And we shouldn't be, because, well, hopefully, as people will learn at the Hello conference, it's tangible today. But you're right. How do you, that's an interesting challenge. How do you get we marketers to sit up and listen and say, oh, wow, I could do this today?
I don't know the answer to that yet, and that's what I'm working on. But, one of the things that we're really focusing on this year is, for us, our theme is storytelling. And so when you start to break it down, the data that you have that you're communicating to your clients, Carrie, that you do the reports for, that's storytelling. So what do you need to do the story? You need all the bits and pieces. And so we're hoping that we can tell our own story a little bit more concretely, that using AI and machine learning, let that do all the hard work. Let that do the analysis, the data collection, so that you can focus on communicating with the data.
And telling the story to the clients, right? Because the clients, typically, from our side, what we see is they like the pretty reports. They like the summary. They like the story. They don't want an Excel sheet with a bunch of raw data and a bunch of cells. It's not what they're looking for.
They don't care how you got there. They just want. And I apologize. That is my dog.
Oh, that's okay.
It's usually mine. But
it usually is George.
There must be something going on outside.
Oh yeah, how's the weather, PS, for you right now?
It is snowing. It finally started snowing. I did have to run to the grocery store this morning, but I'm one of those people that I'm usually at the grocery store every day. So like just sort of picking up things. So it always cracks me up when I see like the widespread panic over 2 to 4 inches of snow of like, don't live in New England if that's the case. And by the way, it's going to be gone by Thursday.
Yes. Here's what I love about the Northeast. Like, you guys panic over these snowstorms, but you have like days, sometimes weeks notice that it's coming. Like, everybody goes into this mass hysteria. Meanwhile, coming from Texas, I'm used to like tornadoes when they're like, okay, yeah, it's on the ground. You better be like in your bathtub with the mattress over you at the there aren't any basements there. So it's not like we can go to the basement. And I'm like, yeah, anyways. So not to get off topic, but Katie, thank you so much. You truly are my girl crush, my rock star. I love you.
Oh, and just so you know, you're now my new best friend. So just in case you didn't know that before.
Oh, really?
Title added, yes.
Yeah, and
you know what? I'm not good at the hair flip. I got to work on it.
Oh, I do my back forward, and then I kind of do like a little zhuzh after. That's my signature move.
So when I see you in person in a few weeks at the Hello Conference, I can teach you about predictive, and you can teach me how to do the proper hair flip because I'm helpless.
Well, Kate, again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm so excited for your talk, and hopefully after everybody sees this, they will be too. You guys, will put more information down below.
All the links.
All the links down below for information on Trust Insights, Katie, and the Hello Conference.
Yep. So you can see us at trustinsights.ai, and you find me on social media. I'm usually somewhere.
Should we list all your stuff, all the things? Should we make it popular in the comments section?
Well, fortunately, I personally am not on a ton of social media. So if you can find me at Katie Robbert, that's Robbert with 2 B's, then it is definitely me. And then Trust Insights is at Trust Insights.
And we'll link it. All right. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Great. Bye, guys. Thank you.